Thank you, comrade. I was thinking about that painting behind you, and I was still at school at the time of Grunwick. I'm not trying to put any heaviness on anybody else, but I was still at school at the time. But the thing that I most remember about that dispute, um, yes, at the beginning was all the solidarity with those workers, but I also remember something else. And that is when I did go to work for the TUC many years later, having to walk through that front door of Congress House and remembering that I was stepping across a threshold where a hunger strike had taken place of those workers because they had been let down by the trade union movement. And I think it's really important to remember that so many workers often do feel let down by our movement, but Black workers, we all have that experience. Many of us have that experience far too often. What I wanted to talk about, first of all, is about the way that Black workers and white workers have been put in harm's way by this pandemic. And I'd go so far as to say being deliberately put in harm's way by this pandemic, by a government who felt that it was okay at one level to say to public service workers, to care workers, that their jobs were not important, that their jobs were really unskilled. Only to see those workers then become the most important people around, workers who were then all of a sudden put in positions of great importance because they had to be the ones who were keeping the country alive, effectively, being the ones who were going in harm's way. And I have to tell you, I've lost friends in this pandemic. I've lost friends who are public service workers going into hospitals, going into care homes, trying to deliver public services without PPE. And being told that, and I found out subsequently that PPE was often available for these workers, often sometimes kept in cupboards and not given out to workers. And I think that's something that we have to remember. And of course, what we remember about many of these workplaces is that we're simply not strong enough as a trade union movement, simply not strong enough in many areas of the care sector, where we have not been able to build strong trade unionism to hold these employers to account. Many of these employers, they feel that it's all right to treat many public service workers as if there's something they've scraped off the bottom of their shoe. And we have to stand up to these employers. We have to build strong trade union organisation within these workplaces so that these workers have some power to stand up to these employers, and also have some power not just to stand up to these employers, but have some power to build better environments within their workplaces. Many of these workers, many of the friends that I've lost, many of the workers who've died as Unison members, when you go through the names, you can see all of the people, you can see the names of the people who have died. These are many Black workers who have died. And we can't ignore that. We can't ignore what has been going on. The Black workers have been put in these positions and have paid the price, have died in those workplaces. So we have to really bring some reality to this thing called Black Lives Matters. We can't be just something where we go down on one knee and then just assert how Black Lives Matter and hold our fists up and say, remember George Floyd and the many others who have died. It's not enough, and neither can we have Labour councils like at Tower Hamlets, where I'm sure the mayor of Tower Hamlets was one of those who asserted Black Lives Matters, but at the same time, then he decides that it's okay to dismiss workers, many of whom were Black, dismiss workers and re-engage those workers on worse terms and conditions within the workplace. That's not saying that Black Lives Matters. That's saying that as far as he's concerned, Black lives do not matter. And then we're seeing the same sort of thing happening at British Gas, where this trend of employers who decide that they can treat workers like that is suddenly becoming all the greater. We have to assert within the Labour Party that we're not prepared to see that from any Labour politician anywhere in this country. They cannot do that. And if they continue to try and do that, we as a movement have to hold those people to account. That must be our role. Now, I want to say in conclusion, I won't take up the full time that I've got, is that we have an opportunity. We have a real opportunity to connect with workers up and down the country. We have a real opportunity during this time of COVID-19 to say to workers that what's gone before simply isn't good enough for the future. We are about to face a massive depression in this country. The Tories have been really clear about that. Independent commentators have said there's about to be a depression. We can either accept that, or as a left, we can build a movement that is going to make a difference to all working class people, both within workplaces and within the communities where they live. I don't think that's a choice at all. I think that's something that we absolutely must do. The trade union movement must be at the heart of that movement, but so must a strong left within the Labour Party be part of that move as well. So I want to ask you all to work with all of us who consider ourselves to be on the left, to build that movement, to build a movement that's really going to make a difference to working class people all over this country, and not do what we often do, which is to form a firing squad and turn inwards on each other. This is an opportunity for all of us to really build that movement that is going to make a difference to all working class people going forward into what is going to be a time of real dread for working class people up and down this country. Solidarity, comrades.